Like you get these black pillars. The thing about black pillars where everything sucks all the time is they're like, well,
This is a bullshit narrative too, okay? And people would, but people, this world would look at me, the Trumps, the Bonginos, everybody that supposedly thinks they know so well, okay, but doesn't know God well enough, would say that I'm a black pillar. No, I'm the reason I never could, the reason it never worked for me. This whole we have to be positive, because that's what he's going on to say in this clip, is that we have the midterms coming up and all this negativity. People would look at the things I'm saying as negative. No, I'm realistic though. Every time I've tried to go down that law of attraction and only speak positive stuff, God always reminds me you're in the fallen world. It's always what comes to mind. So you can trick yourself if you want to, but you're tricking yourself in the fallen world. So when you receive the rewards from that, because it has worked. I mean, there's a reason all the universities have secret societies, okay? It's all of this secret hidden knowledge, but it's all tied to this occultism stuff that Jesus was warning you about, which is the energy, frequency, vibration, the thing, the science, and all the wealthy, and all, this is all a result of the human wisdom that that is stupid. It's only grand in its own eyes and to each other and to other people. To God, you don't even, God's is way, like, we can't even understand it. I put it this way: God's wisdom makes man look so stupid. But then man looks stupid because for 7,000 years they keep refusing to surrender. So this is a great talking point to get people to say, oh no, we just must always say positive things. And so even though, yeah, I'm not one of these people that's going to be like, I'm positive for some things, but God, because I don't see myself as a black pillar, but I do see myself as realistic. One of Mr. Bongino's complaints is that, people are ripping all over the administration. Well, I'm a Trump supporter, but I don't like that administration, Dan Bongino, so too bad. Okay, I don't, but I follow God. God, they're all Kirk loyalists, okay? I mean, the establishment is definitely, fully, it's going to be our will, like that. For them to even know God would be a miracle. I mean, that would never happen because, the more obsessed you are with control, the harder it is for those people to ever surrender, okay? A surrender is hard for anybody. But I'm telling you, I know that that's what it's going to take. When that will happen, who knows? But for the atheists that say Jesus or God never comes back and all this stuff, no, he hasn't. It seems like it's been forever. That's because man again refuses to surrender. That's simple. And everybody has complicated the Bible and twisted the Bible, and yet what was the very thing that got them in trouble? The free will. So in order to go back to how you need to start by relinquishing the free will, and that's what it took for me to for God to change my heart and mind. Most of these people, Dan Bongino, most of the world calls themselves Christians, yet doesn't have a transformed mind or heart. If you did, then you would find out that this whole we must speak positivity into the universe thing, what you would find out is that God would tell them the same thing that God has said to me is you're in the fallen world, just realize that. So it's like, yeah, I can lie to myself, but you have to ignore a bunch of things too then. It seems like that Satan would only want you to speak negatively. No, not under his kingdom. Because when God's letting the Prince of Darkness call the shots, God's letting him temporarily. It's his kingdom. Can you see why it would upset God for you to be talking greatness about everything under the wicked one's kingdom? You won't convince the wealthy of that because they're convinced that they've received their wealth from God. No, they've received it under this kingdom, which is why if they had read the Bible further, they would have found out that God says you've already received your reward. You chose to get it in this kingdom. That's what all C-suite and CEOs and all of those wealthy people should really be thinking about. Really. Because what God really wants to see is if you're a badass enough to completely surrender. See, that's truly being a badass, is to surrender. I know it's backwards, isn't it? It's shocking. It's shocking because it's backwards. It's like, no, a true badass never surrenders. No, really, they do. Because they do. Ask any recovering alcoholic. That's what God calls success, is total surrender. Now, he was going to continue his way in one way or another, and he'll put all the churches and all the religions to shame, I think, through AA, because you can't deny us the fact that we've been kept sober. There's too many. So God's holy work has gone on to do this remarkable stuff for 90 years. So no matter what Paula White says, what Donald Trump, whatever these people want to carry on with their belief in what God would want, they don't have a clue next to the recovering alcoholic. They don't. Because we went through it. Plus, we know it. If you're somebody that, like I've said, step 11 is my favorite step because I stay in constant connection with God. See, that's when your light gets, strong. In that Prince of Darkness, he recognizes it. He knows who truly has it. He knows there's like millions of Christians that have just had water put on their head, but they have, if anything, maybe a flicker, a sparkle, a sparkler. Not even that. But that's so it doesn't concern him, okay? That's why it's, we're good there. But for the ones he knows then that are truly seeking God every day, that's what recovering alcoholics do. That's a big light. So what you'll find out in your work life, well, especially if you're a nurse, but probably in other professions too, especially the more you seek him, the more that this world will go after you because it knows you have the light. And remember, the darkness can't handle the light, so it always wants to take you down. So even though the prosperity churches would look at me and say, I'm an example of, literally in Job, they did this. Because the prosperity churches teach that it's because of sin that, this is all happening to you. Right, and Job's friends said that to him too, and he never did a thing wrong. Am I repeating that? Maybe I mentioned that in my last video. But that's literally what happened, and Job didn't do anything wrong, that's the equivalent of the human wisdom. Yet that's all the way going back to Job, and the prosperity churches teach that bullshit. So none of you are going to have any way around it, okay? You're just not. So there's a reason people like me are, targeted, and you could say, it's because you're not speaking good things. No, it's because, if you people knew God, then you would know that people are targeted that really have the light in them. There's a ton of Christians that don't have the lamp turned on. They may have gone through the acknowledgement of, yes, I'm saved, but they don't seek God. So their lamp is off. Yeah, those people aren't a threat to God. So they can have their wonderful lives and, get all their riches or whatever and think, oh, no, it's a great world. No, it's not. So Dan Bongino can call it black pilling all he wants. I call it being realistic. I call it following God's will. And the last thing I would ever want to do is carry on about how great this world is, how great, wonderful it all is, when literally God is allowing the wicked one to rule. Because that's what he does. He allows him to call the shots under, and it's his kingdom until people get it. So when you turn around and carry on that everything has to be positive and great, then what you're saying to God is you want the wicked one to still run the show. So doesn't matter how much money you have or how much greatness. Some people just never get it.